Friends, it's T-Man. We're back again with another video of Blaha's. We're going to do another reaction video to JasonBlaha, the gym lifting, recruiting, fitness, gear slave himself. Blaha. So, Blaha says in this video, Blaha says, the most jacked naturals are always strong as fuck. The most jacked? Yeah. You mean on steroids? Yeah, they took steroids, definitely. Yeah. Drugs.
Natural lifters have to get strong if they want to get jacked. Hey everybody, it's Jason.
Natural lifters have to get strong if they want to get, what, jacked? Getting a stronger gets you a jacked, gets you a bigger?
Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And again,
How's that working for him?
understand this is a point of topic and a point of controversy and nuance potentially, but the simple reality is when you look at this, historically, if you hang around lifters like I have for decades and decades,
Look, Mom, my muscles are getting bigger. Not, son, they're not getting bigger. No, Mom, they're getting bigger, just in my mind.
you find the guys who are clean, who are really jacked, all tend to be really strong. Now, we could argue quite a bit about the chicken and the egg scenario, and I do fully agree with that because we do know that just getting jacked in general will absolutely raise your strength ceiling. This is not debated. However, one of the things that I have noticed over the years is that a lot of guys who are on a lot of stuff, they can focus a lot more on just exclusively pump work. And
on a lot of stuff? I like how he says that. On a lot of stuff.
They get really, really jacked. And I've even seen...
So they get really, really jacked as long as they're on a lot of stuff. Okay.
McDonald pointed out, he's like, yeah, I mean, the evidence kind of...
What are you doing?
Jacked. And I've even seen Lyle McDonald point that out. He's like, yeah, I mean, the evidence kind of suggests when you understand how androgens and things work, that, yeah.
Oh, if you understand how androgens work, well, it's really simple. If you're a lifting slave and you want to, I've explained this before in my videos, if you want to be really good at lifting weights and be a small, little, strong guy, it's really easy. Stay in an anabolic growth state. That means you need to consume a lot of food. So why is that? So you're anabolic. What that means is anabolic means that you'll convert the catabolic hormone. You convert the catabolic hormone to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, giving you maximum force production. We know that the myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles, as according to what? NCBI. Okay. So what do you need to do to maximize this lifting slave shit? It's easy. Be in a positive nitrogen balance, anabolic. Therefore, you will convert the catabolic hormone to an androgen. So it doesn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, giving you maximum force production. Because that's what the myocytic androgen receptors are for. They're there to give you maximum force production. So now, if you're a lifting slave and you accumulate, your body will accumulate more of these androgen receptors and widen them. Now that you're anabolic, and you've converted the catabolic hormone to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor, it'll give you maximum force production, more force production. Get it, dude? That's how it works.
Just high rep, high volume pump work and really high volumes will absolutely cause...
You'll have one problem though, but majority of people will eat carbohydrates. You'll stand on the scale, definitely. You're gonna stand on the scale and say, well, I gained muscle, I gained weight, because you were trying to be anabolic to convert the catabolic hormone to an androgen. It doesn't work that way. You need nuclei to synthesize protein to build real muscle. But without them, forget it, dude. See that? But that isn't based on lifting a heavy weight.
Profound muscle growth for people who are enhanced. But a lot of...
Can you get fakely jacked? Yes, you can get sarcoplasmic muscles and get fakely jacked. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Look. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get fakely jacked. So let's go here. Sorry about that. So this is the jack that you're going to get. Your trained person coming in like him. He's trained. He's trained. He's coming every day, whatever. His muscles, they're largely attributed to what? Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. He's going to get sarcoplasmic muscles, bro. Get it? And what is that? So what is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy? A kind of what? Artificial muscle growth, wherein muscles increase the size visually by increasing the amount of fluid it can hold, but is not increasing the density of muscle fibers. So you're going to get, yeah, you're going to get strong and jacked because this is the strength that you're relying on. Let's go to this one right here, PubMed. So this is the strength that you're relying on. This is what I was trying to explain to you. Myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. What controls that mass? We're talking about like myofibular mass. What controls it? It's really simple. These nuclei, and they're highly regulated. These nuclei. Okay, what regulates the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy as opposed to myofibular sarcoplasmic? Nothing. Nothing. There's nothing that regulates it. It's based on how much glycogen or carbohydrates you're eating, how much carbs you eat, and load this glycogen into the muscle. That's it. To pretend jacked. That's it. Now, this androgen receptor, how does that control the strength? Well, it's based on maximal force production, like it says down here. Maximal force production, okay? So when you convert the catabolic hormone to an androgen, being in a positive nitrogen, a very, very positive nitrogen balance, then you'll increase more of this force production. That's it. Because you'll convert it to an androgen. Get it? Yeah, man. An androgen. Hello. You know, androgen, steroids, whatever. Anabolic hormones in your body, whatever. Yeah, dude. All right. That doesn't mean your muscles are going to get bigger because you've got more androgens now. They're not competing with the myocytic androgen receptor. Without those nuclei, you can't further that domain. But you may misconstrue that phony jack for eating carbohydrates. You're eating carbs and saying, oh, well, I'm getting bigger. I'm getting stronger, bigger and stronger. You're not. You got fatter, but you got stronger at lifting the way you got better at lifting.
That has to do with the fact that their intermediate fibers can grow. In other words, when you're a natural lifter, all of your slower twitch and
your intermediate fibers are not getting damaged, and you are adapted to these exercises. Plus, the repeated bout effect is protecting from any more damage. It's the adaptation process.
your more intermediate fibers, they cap out in growth, within a relatively short amount of time, meaning within...
They cap out in growth. Then why are you lifting if they cap out? What's the point here? What's the point of lifting?
Within a couple years of really hard training. And after that...
Seriously, you have to ask yourself, what is the point of going to the gym lifting? You just want to be good at lifting a weight constantly? You have to go there forever then to be good at lifting that weight. You didn't build any muscle, any real muscle, so that you are actually... Like, you don't have to be good lifting to be good at doing it anymore. You just be good at it all the time. It won't go away quickly.
Almost all of your muscle growth comes from your more fast twitch fibers, which usually means...
Yeah, but a lot of it comes from type 1 as well. They're not just from fucking type 2. Hello.
Means you have to focus a lot on mechanical tension, right? You have to focus on mechanical tension in order to reach those fibers. Okay, so we're aware of this, and what ends up happening is, of course, you have to really focus on progressive overload over time to continue.
What are type 1 muscle fibers? There's a difference between type 1 and type 2. Yeah, slow and fast, right? Okay, so one is what? Glycolytic, and the other one's what? Think about that for a second. See what I mean? Well, especially when you're endurance lifting. He's an endurance athlete. He's lifting his endurance. Look how small he is. He's tiny.
You to recruit the muscle fibers that are capable of growing. So that's the point. We need to be very...
You need to recruit the muscle fibers that are whatever to grow, the ones that will grow. How are you recruiting them? How do you know which ones you're recruiting? Blaha. You have psychic powers. You have a special switch. You can turn them on and off. Hey man, I want to recruit the fast twitch as opposed to the slow twitch. Oh, okay. How do you do that, Blaha? Here's a question, Blaha. I already know how to do that. How do you recruit the fast twitch muscle fibers as opposed to the slow twitch, which you're recruiting constantly here in the garage? You're recruiting slow twitch because you're an endurance athlete, lifting constantly in the garage. How do you do it?
Very clear about. most of your muscle fibers will not grow anymore after you've been training 2 or 3 years.
That's not true. They'll keep growing if you get an adaptation. It's based on an adaptation process. They won't grow if they're adapted, if they're muscularly adapted.
Okay? Let me state that again. After you have been training for 2 or 3 years, the majority, like over 90% of the muscle fibers in your body are going to stop growing as a result of training. This is why people plateau.
No, they won't. And you never plateau. In bodybuilding, listen, in building muscle, you never plateau because there's like turnover and shit like that going on there. So there's no such thing as plateauing because you're turning over proteins and doing a bunch of stuff. See what I mean? You're constantly going there doing specific things. But if you want an adaptation in muscle growth, then you're going to have to shoot for an adaptation, like it says, in muscle growth.
And the muscle fibers, the only ones that are really growing to a large degree, are the fastest twitch muscle fibers, right? Those are the ones that are capable of growing almost your entire life. And they have
Those are the only ones? No. The type 1 as well grow. I don't know what he's talking about.
Infinitely large amount of size. There doesn't seem to be an upper threshold to how big they can get. But again, that's why the gains slow down over the years. But to get to those...
How big they can get depends on the addition of a bunch of things. The sarcomere number of muscle fibers, lengthwise, the thickness, the nuclei, a bunch of stuff, bro. But yeah, the repair, the remodeling, whatever.
You have to keep progressively overloading. You've got to keep adding more attention.
No. That's not how you get them to keep growing. You need an adaptation so that the satellite cell can donate its nuclei to that domain to support what? Further muscle growth, as it says in M&D size limit. Do you get it?
And just adding more and more reps isn't going to get it. And so when you see some of these studies, yeah, but this study showed these 30
reps aren't going to build you a muscle. Again, I think he has the two hypertrophies confused. One is based on myofibrillar hypertrophy. The other one is sarcoplasmic. So if he wants to build sarcoplasmic muscles, then yeah, keep doing these reps and everything in the gym, whatever. Come in here as a lifting slave, dude. Get it? Yeah.
40 rep sets.
You're an endurance athlete. Endure. Keep enduring. Yes, lifting. Endure lifting.
All this causes growth, yeah, in fairly novice lifters.
Look, a real bodybuilder doesn't go into a gym to try to endure in lifting weights all the time consistently. If you're looking for fucking cellular adaptations, you're not going there to endure lifting a weight, bro. Get it? You're going there for an adaptation. If that is your goal, but I don't know what people's fucking goals are these days. Look at this face. His face is too much, man.
See where we're going with that?
Look at him. Aha!
Because a lot of their intermediate fibers and things can grow. Once you get a little bit more advanced, you've been training a couple years, that stops. That doesn't work so much anymore. And you have to focus on...
No, it can keep growing. Providing protein synthesis exceeds that breakdown, you being an anabolic growth state, blah, 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 positive nitrogen balance, and you're getting an adaptation, bro. Get it?
That mechanical tension. In other words, the bigger weights, and I don't even mean just a big bench press. I mean, even your curls need to be getting stronger. Your concentration curls need to be getting stronger. But the thing is, when we see the guys who are using a bunch of stuff, magical supplements, right? When they're using those things, they've reached a point where those intermediate muscle fibers are still sensitized by these things. They get an anabolic response. So
they get an anabolic response. They get sensitive. They get an anabolic response. Okay, without those nuclei, and you get an anabolic response without nuclei. What are you getting there exactly? Nothing.
Training that is.
I'm not saying you can't get an anabolic response like he said. So you can suppress the catabolic hormone, convert the catabolic hormone to an androgen, so it doesn't have to compete with acidic androgen receptor, making you good into a lifting slave.
Hitting the more endurance-oriented fibers still will...
That's what he's doing. He's hitting the endurance fibers because he's lifting every day in a gym. That's not bodybuilding.
Cause them to gain muscle.
That's endurance lifting. That's not bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is based on getting an adaptation, not being an endurance athlete in the gym.
See where we're going with that? So coming in and doing, you know, a lot of pump work, doing 20, 25.
See, he admitted it. Pump work. He says pump work, dude. Get it?
A lot of pump work, doing 20, 25 sets of 15,
Sure.
20, 30 reps is going to cause a significant training response for people who are using a bunch of stuff. Plus, it mitigates the fatigue. Those things improve recovery of that tissue. So not only is it capable of getting a growth response from training that wouldn't produce the same response other than in a novice lifter, you know, in a more advanced lifter, they're getting that training response. They're also offsetting some of the negatives of recovery, because we have a lot of problems with like our calcium ion situation when we start trying to train like that, to where it's hard to recover from it.
He's been carb loading, I noticed, because he doesn't want to look flat, too flat, and he's not losing any more body fat, so he's just lifting to maintain this look.
Local level, but a lot of those things enhance that recovery. You see where we're going with this?
Yeah.
So they can grow from stimulus that only novices would grow from, which again, some of that lighter.
You can't grow from stimulus if you lack nuclei. You can't grow.
It's just all about pump work, and they can recover from it easier, because again, we don't grow from training we don't recover from. So it produces.
No, you grow from the addition of nuclei in an adaptation. That's how you grow.
This is a situation where a lot of those guys train that way, like they keep getting more and more jacked. Yeah, but they're also not natural. When you're trying.
That's cosmetic then. If they're not natural, they're taking drugs. It's cosmetic, therefore it's fake. Something cosmetic is artificial, therefore it's fake. It's fake. You understand me? You know what fake is?
Trying to do it natural, those fibers are not going to grow anymore. Plus, when you do excessive volume, you have to be.
Yes, they will. They'll keep growing, providing you get an adaptation. Even if you take steroids, which is artificial, it's fake, you still have to build muscle through an adaptation process. Even if you take steroids, if you want to build muscles taking steroids, like if you want to build real muscle, but if you want to build something cosmetic fake, like sarcoplasmic, well then take steroids and do what he's doing, keep lifting like a lifting slave, and yeah, it'll retain more of this energy, because that's the steroids' job, is to keep you alive. It's the hormones, when you inject them, the body sees it as, oh, we're going through a famine, starvation, and we have to hold this energy in our body. So let's grab more energy and keep it in there to preserve us. Yeah.
We're dialed in to recover from it, right? There's going to be a finite amount of volume. And what you usually find, the biggest naturals and the biggest, most jacked guys who maybe are not natural, but they're very, very, very conservative with what they take.
Not natural, but conservative with what they take? What is he talking about?
They almost always train fairly heavy, progressive overload, a little more.
Yeah, they train like an endurance athlete. They don't train for adaptations. That's why they fail.
Moderate volume. They're under 20 sets a week. I'm not saying it has to be 5 or 6 like I often say can work, but
that's why nobody can figure out after they take, after they go off these steroids, why everything goes away. They can't figure out, why did it go away? Doesn't steroids build muscles? Don't they build muscles? And then they find out they don't build muscles. They're like, fuck, this shit doesn't build muscles. What a waste of time. What a waste of everything. But at least you enjoyed it while it lasted, right? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Usually way under 20 sets. They're usually capping it at 12 to 15. Pretty normal. Pretty normal. But there's a large focus on progressive overload. And I'm not saying that progressive overload needs to be heavy 1s and 3s. It can be your 10 rep sets, right? Sure. But you need to be hitting stronger. You have to add tension.
Of course.
Okay?
Of course.
You have to add tension in that.
Yes, of course. You have to add tension. You have to get stronger. Yes. You have to be lifting slave. Yes, 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 yes. And then you look like nothing, like Blaha, nothing.
Tension is going to cause an increase in strength. In other words, if you take your bench from 135 for 10 to 225 for 10, you are going to be significantly stronger. Trust me, your max will have gone up 90 or 100 pounds. Okay?
Oh, okay.
You will be stronger.
Okay.
Automatically by default, even if you haven't tested it.
If you get an adaptation, you're automatically stronger by default. I don't know what he's talking about. But if you're practicing at lifting, getting neurological strength, yeah. You're going to get good at lifting this weight for sure.
A max at any point in there, mainly because you're at that point you're doing sets of 10 with what would have been your
His arms look like they're about to break. They're so skinny and weak.
max, right? Because 135 for 10, you're lucky to bench 225. Okay, you're lucky to bench it for one with that. You might, depends on the person. But once you're doing it for 10, obviously your max is a lot higher than what you do for 10 reps. So you're going to be stronger. And that's the point I'm making here. The natural guys tend to be stronger also because they're having to do a lot of big compounds still, because you can't just come in and do endless pump work with isolation movements and still get jacked as an advanced drug-free lifter. It's not going to work that well. They're just going to tend to be stronger because they're still doing a lot of big movements. They're still doing them with pretty heavy weights, even if it's for a lot of reps. And that is what I mean by usually the biggest drug-free guys, biggest natural guys tend to be strong because they're moving heavy weight for a pretty good number of reps usually, okay? And that is almost always the case, and you rarely see exceptions to that, if ever. So again, the point I'm making is that it tends to go hand in hand. So in other words, you really do need to focus upon very serious long-term progressive overload and getting more and more weight on the bar, and meaning more weight with good form, with good range of motion, with quality reps, all those things. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today.
Yes, all that quality reps and everything, that's what's going to do it. Man, thank God that's the end of that. I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Blaha is going to be a lifting slave forever.